Forcible touching and sexual abuse attorney Andrew Stengel. In New York, most forcible touching and sexual abuse crimes are misdemeanors. In some cases, these crimes can also be charged as a felony, and in some factual circumstances, convictions of either forcible touching or sexual abuse may trigger registration to the Sexual Offender Registry as a sex offender. Forcible touching is defined as intentionally and for no legitimate purpose, forcibly touching the sexual or other intimate parts of another person for the purposes of degrading or abusing such person, or gratifying the actor's sexual desire. Touching or rubbing his or her sexual or intimate body parts, clothed or unclothed, against any body part of another person, clothed or unclothed, for the purposes of gratifying sexual desire, or abusing or degrading such other person, while such person is a passenger on a bus, train, or subway. Forcible touching and sex offender registration. A first-time conviction for forcible touching may not require registration as a sex offender. However, there are two circumstances where a person convicted of the crime will be required to register. The complaining witness is under the age of 18, or the person has a prior conviction of the crime, an attempt to commit the crime, or a conviction under a similar statute in another jurisdiction. Sexual abuse in New York covers a range of behaviors, resulting in a variety of criminal penalties. Sexual abuse in the third degree. A person commits sexual abuse in the third degree when he or she subjects another person to sexual contact without the latter's consent. Sexual contact is defined as touching the sexual or other intimate parts of a person for the purposes of gratifying sexual desire of either. The crime is classified as a Class B misdemeanor, punishable up to 90 days in jail, and is often charged along with forcible touching in the second degree. Because of the nature of the crime, plea agreements and conditional discharge options are limited, which is also the case in forcible touching prosecutions. Sexual abuse in the second degree. Sexual abuse in the second degree occurs when one subjects another person to sexual contact and that person is either incapable of consent for some reason other than being under the age of 17 or under the age of 14. Sexual abuse in the second degree is a registrable sex offense. The crime is a Class A misdemeanor, punishable up to 1 year in jail. However, the judges have several other sentencing options. Sexual abuse in the first degree. Sexual abuse in the first degree is charged when a person subjects another to sexual contact by forcible compulsion, when the other person is incapable of consent by reason of being physically helpless, when the other person is less than 11 years old, and when the other person is less than 13 years old, and the actor is at least 21 years old. Sexual abuse in the first degree is a Class D violent felony and is a registrable sex offense. A first offender may be punished by up to 7 years in prison. However, a judge has several other sentencing options. Persistent sexual abuse. A person is guilty of persistent sexual abuse if he or she commits the crime of forcible touching in the second degree or sexual abuse in the second or third degree and has been convicted of any of these crimes at least twice in the past 10 years, excluding time in jail or prison. It is punishable up to 7 years in prison for a first offender. New York State Sexual Offender Registry. If a person is required to register as a sex offender, he or she may be classified as Level 1, low risk requiring registration for 20 years unless the offender has been designated a sexual predator, violent offender, or a predicate offender. Level 2, moderate risk requiring registration for life. Level 3, high risk, also requiring registration for life. As a former prosecutor and current criminal defense attorney in New York, Andrew Stengel has successfully and aggressively handled Hundreds of cases involving alleged sex crimes, including allegations of forcible touching, sexual abuse, and felony sex crimes that require a mandatory minimum prison sentence. Visit the website of Andrew Stengel for more information, STENGELLAW.com, or send an email to info@stengellaw.com. Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.